always have the upper hand with new technology because they don't have a full business to run, while also needing to learn this first, right? So like we're running our entire businesses and then also expected on top of that to learn the new tech, whereas somebody who's not a business owner is like, oh, I'll take my extra time and just learn this thing, right? And so the goal here is to be as efficient as humanly possible so you can get the outcome in one sitting. So you have every kind of, like, the things you need that will drive the highest output usage that will take you from kind of like falling behind to at least to par and maybe ahead, right? And so you'll have the AI and you'll have the AI virtual workshop. And so also, for anyone who's curious, anyone who donated 200 books or more is invited, and it's all free for you guys, all right? So it's my way of saying thank you. So the AI training is free for you guys. That's like my gift to you. You guys are good. So thank you. That should hopefully more than make up for it, beyond the fact that you also got all the other stuff, plus you also don't have a subscription. So thank you. Thank you. There you go. More thank yous. And so I'll be going through different use cases on how to prompt it for your business. And like I said, you can cancel anytime if you so choose to. All right, there's no commitment, so if you don't think the tool's good, then stop paying for it. All right, very simple. So like I said, if you missed it last time, I got like a gazillion messages. You have 36 hours to get in before I close it again, and that's because I want to closely monitor this cohort with the full onboarding process that we can put inside of it, so that I can try to get everybody that top line, so that you can be, no one's going to be AI native, but like AI proficient, right? If we can just get you so that it is regularly providing value, for it to make up that, $300 a month in terms of like how do we get, higher open rates on the email, how do we get better response rates, how do we get, the funnel flow, like there's so many ways for it to do it that like all I have to do is just show you how to use it and then it's good. And so again, cutoff's tomorrow at midnight Pacific. Okay, and I'm doing it this way so we can keep close monitor on the cohorts and make the best product possible. So while you guys check out, anyone who has used the AI, I would love it if you guys let people know your experience in the chat. That would be great. That'd be swell. So you can go there, go.acq.com, you can grab it. But if you did use it, I should drop exclusive books. I know, my God. Website isn't opening except I use VPN. Why? You're from Nigeria. I have no idea. Website is not working. Good to know. Love the AI. Thank you. AI is a good time. Great. Yeah, so yeah, the AI chat is amazing. Thank you, Mavix. I appreciate it. Golden, worth every dollar. Absolutely amazing. Best AI I've used. And I've used many. ACQ is like having Alex Business Genius and Real Talk. Take the training and use it. Also, the AI is absolutely goated. Yeah, we spent a long time on this. Like, I spent 2 years of my life trying to build this thing because we said we had the mission to make real business education accessible for everyone. And so part of doing that is making the investments years ago in documenting each of the consultations that we did, which is completely unscalable, so that we could create something that truly was. And fortunately, I have access to some of the best AI minds out there in terms of how to do this actually, which everyone who's actually used it can tell you the difference. Like many people, like this is by no means like don't use Claude, don't use GPT. They're all don't use Grok, whatever. They're great products. They are generalist products. They are products that are intended from, like I said, erotica to therapy to whatever, email consolidation, right? This is specific for SMBs. And specific for the use cases that the majority of SMBs deal with. So like the amount of training that it has is proportional to the likelihood that you suffer from the same problem that other business owners do. And so the majority of what it's trained on, so 70% on, is demand-related stuff because that is what the majority of problems that business owners struggle with. And so it is very good at writing copy. It is very good at coming with lead magnets. It's very good at writing offers. Very good at figuring out pricing because if it's chatting with 100 plumbers, it knows the pricing between these two different areas. And it knows that this one is lower. And if it can see that this one makes way more money than this one, then it's going to learn that these are probably ideal or superior pricing strategies. And this is the kind of unique data that we've trained this on. And so this is a core product of acquisition.com, and that's why I was very excited to give it to everybody who just chose to donate books. Obviously, everybody today, you're not going to get any of those pieces or the hard pieces. You do have a subscription that's associated with it. That's just to be fair to the people who donated, and obviously those who donated, you also get the AI training for free. Again, as my way of saying thank you. But I think this is a truly exceptional product. So that's that. Okay. So you can go to go.acq.com if you want it. It's up for 36 hours. I said there's 3 things for the launch. So I said how we advertised it, how we built it, and how we sold it. Okay. So now, if you guys are good with it, I will transition to the third part of this, which is how we actually sold it. So the play-by-play of the highest grossing webinar, to my knowledge, of all time. So this was the webinar creation process. Number 1, I used RAI to write the persuasive elements. Number 2, turn those into bullets. Number 3, determined my talking pace of WPM or words per minute. Number 4, I determined when the CTAs would be for the free stack and the donation stack. So I basically had to do 2 webinars back to back. So I had to figure out where each of the CTAs was going to be. Then I figured out the word count to reverse engineer the timing. So this has to drop at 47, this has to drop by 52. And so then it's like I speak at 185 words per minute. And so if that's my talking pace, then if I say this many words, I will drop the CTA at those time marks so that I can maximize the likelihood that people who are present can take action, right? And so step 6, wrote out every word for word for the webinar within word count. I put those words on the slides after writing the whole thing out word for word. Then I added visual proof to every slide. Then I practiced it every day for a month. And then I practiced 2 to 3 times a day with prop movement. So some of you guys, I mean, obviously, if those of you were at the launch, I had all these props that I had to move around and like place while I was talking. So it's kind of like singing and playing the guitar at the same time. Like I had to click with one hand, hold the stuff, and talk while trying to look at the camera. And that just took practice. And so if it seemed smooth, it wasn't smooth the first time, and it got smooth by like the 20th time. And the end result was 1,700 slides with every word scripted. And so this was the strategy. And so we begin with stakes right off the bat. And this is super high level. I'm going to go really tactical into the actual presentation. But we started with stakes to make sure people want to pay attention. We sorted out so people could label and say, this versus this. Added more stakes. Created more labels to make sure that someone says, this is for me, which was both sales orientation and industry. And then we created the whole meta concept through demonstration, right? The offers book was a meta concept for offers. Leads was a meta concept for advertising. Monetization was a meta concept for money models, meta concept for monetization, okay? So then the audience was, for 35%, was non-business owners. So this was the structure of the first pitch, right? Freebie seekers / non-business owners. So the core belief is if a business has more cash flow, it can get whatever else it needs to scale. So every webinar, in my opinion, has to have like one core argument. And so the core argument was, if you had more cash flow, you could use that cash flow to get whatever you need to scale. That was the core belief. Now, the webinar core belief, the second webinar, excuse me, core belief with MetaProof, bonus stack, price drop to free, access to school at a delay. And I'll explain all the components of the CTAs here because it was incredibly nuanced to make sure that everybody went to the right place at the right time, that it didn't cannibalize, like one offer didn't cannibalize the other. I'll show you everything. Now, the second webinar was more like this, which is reason why, new information reveal / reframe, pattern interrupt. So when I took off my hat, that was the pattern interrupt. And then we began the second webinar. So this webinar was obviously for business owners, which I called out. The core belief is my business is limited by one constraint. If I remove that constraint, my business will scale. That was the core belief of the second webinar. So second webinar had, as fast as possible, retain momentum. Because remember, there's this moment of the free stack. I'm getting all this stuff for free. And then I have to go from there to making an offer with a call to action within like 6 minutes. So I had to manage that transition from it's all free to donate 200 books in 6 minutes of words and manage the emotions of that whole thing. And I'll walk it through the whole thing in slow motion, but this is the big picture. So we retain momentum, revealed the price, which is antithetical to how most of these types of things work. Again, this is a little bit different when it's like we did some new stuff. Revealed the price first, then made a call to action, which was like, hey, if you want to go get it, go get it. Scarcity stack. Then we had a bonus price justification. That was the bonuses we added on. And then we had a second price drop with the AI, and then something called an objection arc, which I'll explain. And then we had a final urgency stack with the black book, all right? So, and then from there on, like when I had all the speakers that came up, all of that functioned as meta proof. So what that means is, if you're ever gonna have an event or something, the objective of someone speaking, right, if you think about it from a business context, should be to maximize the likelihood of two things. That people buy that day, or that people buy later. And so that balance is, value, and ideally through declarative knowledge, meaning you teach people about how stuff works. And so for us, when we have those table-side chats with each of the friends that I have that are all ballers, the idea was to demonstrate how these ideas clearly work. And then because these guys are rich, they use the ideas in this book, knowingly or unknowingly. And so by doing that, I was able to tie or associate or brand my products with their success. That was the idea. This is me. I'm not holding anything back. This is how it worked. So, proof. Jay Steele, you wish you were rich. Well, wishing ain't gonna get it for you, man. Now, that's all great, but what if I give you a play-by-play? Would that be cool? This is the #1 rated thing that I did at school, is I did a play-by-play of explaining how the VSL worked that we spent millions and millions of dollars a month on to drive the growth of school through the roof. And I explained frame by frame exactly what I did. Would you guys like that? Yeses would be appropriate if this is the time to do it. I think I have like a 5-second delay. Okay, great. Yes. All right, I think you guys are going to like this. I'll just put it out there. And for those of you who are asking about the AI, it's just go.acq.com. You can go grab it. The offer is good for 36 hours. I just want to have another cohort in for those of you guys who missed it during the launch, okay? And all my book donors, I'm taking care of you guys. Like, you have no subscription. You can also get the training for free, so you're good. Okay, you guys ready? All right. So I'm going to go fast through this, but I'm going to explain what's happening while I'm going through it, okay? So quick introduction, the purpose here is that I want to confirm the thumb. So everyone here is for a purpose. It sounds obvious, right? But I want to explain every single word has to pay its rent. I've got 100,000 plus people on here live. If I waste a second on here, I'm losing people, right? So I have to make sure that like if it's not absolutely imperative that it increases the likelihood of a purchasing decision in one way or another or goodwill associated with the brand, it's out. And so the first thing I had to do was make sure that everyone knew that they were in the right place. You came here for a book launch. Welcome to my book launch. Great. Everyone's on the same page. We reaffirm why they came. Boom. Next slide. We create stakes. So literally the first thing you hear from me is we're going to try and break not one, but 2 world records. All right. Then we immediately have judges so that we can have verification, veracity in making sure that the claims that we have are legitimate. So if I can immediately go from 0 to someone's about to die and here's proof, I have attention, right? So then we prove it out. They came out. It's going to be a wild ride. If you're like me, business needs money to grow. And so this is the first time I make the promise. I'm going to show you to get more customers, spend more money, and less time again and again, right? So we've got, why are you here? Big stakes, proof of the stakes, big, bold promise. We're talking first 15, 20 seconds, right? Right off the bat. Like, you cannot lose time. Like, those first 30 seconds are some of the most important time that you have in any kind of event. So then I have to put in my disclaimers, and I put a little bit of humor here. People know it's going to be fun. I'm going to keep it light. All right, everything's worth, your results will vary. Remind you that, like, the things at the bottom of the screen, of course, you're not going to get rich quick, et cetera, right? So we keep going. We'll see. That's more reminder of the stakes. Then this is me doing a damaging admission. Important, because believe it or not, people will trust you more if you tell the truth, crazy, of your conflict or your bias. So if you say, I have a bias, and then you state whatever your belief is, people will still believe you more than if you didn't state it. Crazy. So just if you are biased or you have conflict of interest, just say it and people will believe you more. State the facts and tell the truth. Number 1 rule of marketing and sales. And so I'm no saint. So I'm telling people, yes, I want to make money, and this is part of how my business works. We install money models. That's how I make my money. I'm going to give you something crazy. So now it's like, why should I believe you? So I got to go quickly into edification for the people who don't know who I am. So I have to say, hey, I sold a bunch of companies, made a bunch of money. My holding company, acquisition.com, it makes a lot of money from last year. Just to give context to how much money that is, it'd be top 15% of all 51,000 publicly traded companies. For people who are not in our world, it's like, well, how much is that? Well, that gives you some idea. This is a little bit of humor to keep it light, keep it fun. This ties it back to the mission. And now we're flipping the script, because now it's like, okay, I've talked about me. We got to get to you guys, right? And that's why that's why the script transitions. So boom, you're in the right place. Boom, you've got big stakes. You've got proof of those stakes. Big bold promise. Proof that I am who I say I am. And then it's like, great, enough about me. Now it's about you, right? So boom, we have our bold promise set again. Money models get more customers, spend more money in less time over and over again. The reason this is important is because people forget, right? We said it in the first couple seconds. Got to say it again. Like, hearing a great promise, not a bad thing. Like, imagine, for the guys or the gals, if I have to think of non-X-rated examples here. Let's say you're in a loving married relationship and your spouse says, hey, I'm not wearing any underwear. We should do something. That sounds weird coming from me now. I can imagine going to a girl. They'd be like, ugh. But in the reverse, it sounds quite nice. And so if she tells me that later again in the evening, I'm not less excited about the promise. So promising a good thing more times, not a bad thing. All right. And so then what happens when you have all these things? You get what you want, right? So here's the next big objection that people are immediately going to have. This thing, this concept, this idea is not going to work for me, right? And so how can I prove that? Now, I do a couple of really interesting things here. So I hit this from 3 different angles, technically 4, and I'll show you the first 3, and then the 4th one comes later. So number 1 is I just say directly this works for all these different things. And then I give a reasoning why, which then gives me a second list to hit, so I can get even more people covered with this umbrella, saying this works for all these people because I have a portfolio of companies, and that includes even more people, right? So that gives me my chunk down version that I can cover this up, right? Now on top of this is where it gets exciting. This is brand new. Never seen anyone do this. Here's how it works. So I said there's only 4 types of stuff you can sell, right? You can sell software, you can sell information, you can sell services, you can sell physical products, okay? That's it. You got media, you got services, you got software, you got physical products. That's what you got. Info would be media. If I could reword that one, but it's from an old book, so I left it. So what I'm doing here is I'm forcefully labeling, okay? And I said, you can only sell these 4 things, and guess what? Money Models working on 4 of them. Now, on top of that, right, which if your business sells stuff, that's everybody, includes you. So I'm trying to funnel everyone into saying, yes, this works for me, or this could work for me, and then I'm tying that, hey, this could work for you, to look at this outcome. That's how it's worked for me. Not saying that, of course, I have to have some liabilities. I'm not saying this is going to happen for you, right? And so then we have to sort. So quickly, it's like, okay, I got everyone in. We made the stakes. Now we have 2 types of people, up-and-coming entrepreneurs, right? The freebie people, and then we got business owners. So I say, hey, y'all are my ballers. These are my 2 people. Let's rock and roll. So this is what we're going to accomplish. We put our roadmap together, and then we're off to the races. Let's hit the first one. Okay. So for me, I had to satisfy a hook that I had used earlier in the advertising to make sure that people showed up, right? And you guys know, I mentioned it earlier, better than an NFT and less than a Bitcoin, right? And so am I really going to give you the secret project? And so I had to work that back in. And what am I doing? Open loop, right? So here we go. Can't tell you what it is yet, but just so you know it's legit, it's something that I will sell. So this creates stakes around the give, right? So I didn't say this until the launch. So this little tidbit of like, this will be for sale makes the product even more legit that they're going to get for free. But I still have the loop because I haven't said what it is yet, all right? It's at the end of this live stream, and I'll show you how to get it for free, okay? Now to the main event. So everything here has been laying the foundation for the real presentation. So I'm not expecting you to believe me, right? I will prove it to you. And this is where the actual presentation more or less begins, all right? And so everything up to that point, incredibly important, but what we had to do to lay the foundation. Okay, so new title slide, let me explain. Big believer in proof. And so this is what I consider the meta proof stack. This whole thing is all proof. That's all it is, this whole section. So proof, lots of people have proof, no one can prove it. My first book was proof that the offer was good, and I explained, look at all the rankings, look at all the sales, look at all the 5 stars, it's very good, it's very good, it's very good, right? And I can prove that it's good. Once you have that, the next thing you need is leads. And so I wrote another book, which is also really good, and proof that it's good is that I did this big advertising thing and I grew a lot, and here's more proof, 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 right? That it clearly still works, right? And so the beta launch made it undeniable, right? But something was still missing. So now I'm creating the need from these two things of proof to create the total meta frame, which was basically the first third of this, was around money models being the missing link, right? You have the first thing, you have the second thing, now you need the third thing, which is how do you make money, right? And so ideally as much as possible, as fast as possible, repeating the promise. And so that is what the money model is, right? But you still need proof. So then what am I going to do? Undeniable proof. So proof about this launch, proof about how we were able to liquidate CAC. If you want even more proof, how many people do we have live so far? To show that it generated lots of people who were there. Great, we covered the first one. Next we have to figure out is how to scale it. How do we scale a business? We use inversion. So how do we kill one? Boom. The reason we have this one is that we need to create stakes. Just saying, hey, we need cash flow, it'll help you grow. What's even more powerful than gain? Loss. So I want to have more good stuff and less bad stuff. We have to hit both sides. All right, so how do we kill a business? Besides giving up, there's only one thing. I've got big stats to prove it. More proof, you run out of money. How do I know? US Bank, billions on the line. Of course they know. Poor cash flow. You've got no money, you got no business. Okay, we're going. You're broke. You can't be in business. How big is it? We're lowering the anchor and then actually proving that everybody's broke. Crazy. And so it turns out that a lot of businesses need help with cash flow, right? It means you work a lot. All I'm doing here is, this is all pain. Just so you guys are curious, this is all just pain. So if we think about any kind of sales process, motivation is always equal opposite of deprivation. So the pain is the pitch comes from this concept. We want to state where someone wants to be, and then we want to show all the deprivation, the stretch, the gap between where they are and where they want to be. That gap, that stretch, that pain is what motivates the action. And so this is me trying to hit, I would consider emotive examples. And notice the specificity here. Restful weekend, school plays, family dinners, birthdays, nights out. They're specific, not just free time, right? And you take more risk. And so you end up poorer than you started. So you do all this stuff, and it sucks, right? It still sucks. But you think the other half are good. Nope, it's even worse than you think. This is just continuing to level up the stakes, leveling up the stakes around this, why this is so important, why this is so important, why this is so important, right? And this is me just calling a caveat for the business owners who are successful, because I want to make sure I'm not turning them off and saying, hey, if you had more cash flow in your larger business that makes money, this is still for you. It's just that you'll do even better with this. So I have to put those pieces in because I don't want to alienate the people who, though, are a smaller percentage, just statistically, people who make more money are a smaller percentage than people who make less money. But they're also the ones who have the buying power. So I want to make sure I'm not disenfranchising those people. And so then all of us leads us to a conclusion, right? Which is that you will lose money trying to get and serve new customers. This is me creating the problem that we can then solve, right? And so this is me saying that problem. It's a very big problem, because if you do that long enough, your business will die. So think about what's happening here. We created this meta proof. This thing improves cash flow. Why is cash flow important? Well, it'll help you scale the business. It also helps you not die, because if you don't have this thing for a long time, you will die, okay? Which then brings you to point 3. So how do you make it impossible to die, right? You either limited by cash and take a really slow time to grow, or you don't grow at all and die, or you get the big promise that I promised at the beginning. And so then I do this math, which I only share this in here because this is actually catered to the more advanced people, which is who I want, right? And I want these people to know that this is not just, despite the fact that I will lower the reading level for competence and comprehension, or rather for comprehension for the vast majority of the audience, there is still clear math that supports this point. That's the only reason this exists here, right? So I say, hey, this is what it looks like with big fancy stuff, but in the real world, then I tie it back in, it just starts with an offer, right? So I have to define terms. So what is a money model, right? What's an offer? What's a money model? These build together. And when you do a $100 million money model, which is the whole thing of what I'm selling here, is you can ultimately unlock scale, right? When you do that, you move cash as limited for growth. All right, and so there's 4 mechanisms. So now we get into the more uniqueness. This is actually the core concepts, right? Attraction, upsells, downsells, continuity. And the result is, because these are the unique mechanisms that create this outcome that you really want, cash flow is the key, right? Guarantees that you stay in business, and I will prove it to you. So now I want to borrow the credibility of big brands, right? JP Morgan, GE, Ford, Amex, Coca-Cola, 3M, what do they all have in common? They're all 100 years old. How can something be 100 years old? It has to be hard to kill. How is it hard to kill? Because it has proof that I have proof that it uses what I talk about. See the connection here? So I, of course, want to use my own proof, but if I can also use third-party proof or statistical proof, all of these are different types of proof that we weave in, so that if you think about what this whole presentation is, it's just a single argument. If you had more cash flow, you could scale faster, and you could get what you want. And then the rest of this is simply, like, if you don't have cash flow, life sucks. It's very likely that you don't have cash flow, and life will be really bad. Look at all these people who have great cash flow, and they're impossible to kill. And look at these 4 mechanisms that unlock cash flow. All of it is centered around one core argument that we attack from as many angles as we can. And so then, more stakes, hard economic times. Many people have been through some of these things where I think, wow, the Great Depression, we're going through something like that right now, or the economy's tough. It's like, well, these businesses survived even worse than that. How? Because they had a money model, right? And they had cash flow, right? That's the whole idea. In other words, they kept making money, right? And so, and this is me translating those world life events into realistic circumstances that a business owner will experience. Bad leads, bad customers, bad reviews, bad hires, bad lawsuits, bad economies. Everything kills businesses like yours and mine, walk in the park. And so, the idea as we're going through this is that I'm just proving that people who don't succeed have broken money models, and all we have to do is if we just focus on fixing it, you'll grow. But most people don't, which is why they can't succeed, right? So if that's the most, think about this, I'm making a logical argument. If cash flow is the most important thing, and a money model is the most powerful way to increase it, how do we make a good one? Which then means you build a $100 million money model, and this is what it looks like when it's right, okay? And this just gives you, this is what it looks like when it's right. More examples of what it looks like when it's right. This is increasing the upside. Yay, increasing the upside, you grow really fast. And then proof that I know this is true. Proof that I know this is true, 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 all with a $100 million money model. You get really big, really profitable, really fast, without loads of followers or cash, which is what many people are dealing with. Just a few tweaks. So, what happens to a normal business when you add this in? So, that then is now we transition from the first 3 points to application, okay? Hopefully you guys are digging this. So, how to apply this to your business today? So, purpose of this section was 2 things, right? So number 1 is I want to show the mechanisms working in any business. So this is the 4th labeling technique that I mentioned earlier. So we did front end, I know these work in all these industries because I said so and I have authority. The second is because I have experience using them in our portfolio. Then I also said there's 4 types of things that you can sell, and they work in all of them. And then I gave examples of my own businesses, and then this is another labeling technique that we use that I've never seen before, which is basically around selling mechanisms. So it's like, what's another way? Because the number 1 obstacle that I'm going to get, that I know, is that I'm a special snowflake. These business models, these money models do not work in my industry. It doesn't work for dental, it doesn't work for real estate, it doesn't work for whatever. Insert your thing that you're special, right? I know this is the number 1 thing, which is why I'm hammering it from every possible angle I can. And so, they work in these 4 things, and here's the cool part, is first, it works in all these conditions, and you only need 1 to make it work. So it's like, it works for all this stuff, and not that you need to do all this stuff, you only need to do 1. If you do that 1, you can get what you want. Okay, so special snowflake, here we go, right? So only 4 ways to sell. So what am I doing here? This is another labeling technique. So I'm saying you can sell in person, online, you can have a salesperson, or self-checkout. These are the 4 ways you can sell. Pick which one you are. Why would I do that? So that everybody picks a box. Fundamentally, you can't not be in one of those boxes. And so as long as you're in one of those boxes, I say, okay, great, guess what? Money models work for you, right? So it's like, I continue to get someone to label themselves, and then say, guess what, they work for you. So that's number 1. Then, like literally, that entire point for that section, it had no other point besides saying, yes, it works for you. Then we go to the one thing. If we can just, because the thing is we want to have a very big outcome, but we want the distance between where they are and where they want to be very achievable, right? And so in order to do that, we need to simplify to one thing and say, this is all we need to do, right? If we just did this one thing, we get where we want to go, right? Of course, without making promises you can't keep, et cetera, okay? So I then say, great, there's 4 types of offers, and then I'll prove it in the real world. So we have our 4 examples, and so I purposely have people label themselves so that I could then do an example exactly like them and then crush it. All right. So if they sold in person, they took some sort of action to sell in the chat, and I like people, making some sort of out loud commitment that they are this type of person. And by doing that, here's my first good money model. So then I tell my story, gym membership, look what happened. We used a money model, and then the business exploded. So I had to check off. So this was really interesting. So I tried to check off 3 sets of boxes with each example. So 1, I'm checking off the box of I'm using one of the 4 use cases. Check. Number 2, I'm also using brick and mortar, consumer service, business service, SaaS, e-commerce. So I'm checking all of those boxes simultaneously with the types of ways to sell. On top of that, I'm pulling out each of the 4 different types of offer structures in money models so that I can demonstrate all 4 of them, which was kind of the meaty part of the whole webinar, so that I can still feel like people got value, learned something they didn't know. All right. So there's 3 separate angles that are coming that I'm trying to cover at the same time. So we've got selling style, we've got industry, and then we have the money model. So fundamentally, this whole thing, that's all it is. I just go through all 3 of them, and then I check off the box, or all 4 of them, excuse me. I check off the box. We move through the next one. I give proof. This works for this one too. Here's the money model that worked. More proof, more proof, more proof, more proof. And here's the next one. More proof that this works. Here's the story. This is e-commerce. This is the money model. This is proof. Yes, it worked again. And so each one of these is like if you're studying this, it's the same structure. Person had goal. Things were bad. Thing happened. Things got better. The thing that happened was the thing that I have, and not only that, it got even better than that, and it worked over and over again. Then the next example. It was bad. We introduced a new thing. Things got good. Then I have more proof. Again, again, again. It'll work for you. Like that is the whole process over and over and over again. Okay. So we follow this through. Now we have school. Then now we hit our SaaS example. Now with this example, I specifically spent more time explaining the product of school. Now I had to do this because I told you I had 6 minutes. I had to transition from the free stack to the donation offer. So I had to front load the explanation of what school was to people who didn't know what school was about, which by the way, school had the sickest drop yesterday. Insane. If you didn't take up the launch offer, you can still sign up for $9. So like, you know, you're not gonna die. But it had an absolutely absurd update yesterday, which is mental. But anyways, that being said, I had to explain what the product was, right? And then you could use money models, which yesterday, that update now has like, you can do like almost all the models in the book. It's nuts. And so I had to explain it all within the context that was not threatening. So I'm not selling school here, right? I'm just saying what school's about so that later, when I promote school and I make the offer, people know what it's about. All right, so I had to weave this in earlier. So I explained the old model, look at the new model, look, this is a really big company, it's actually growing a lot. How do we do that? Same new thing, it's growing really fast, it's also cash flow positive, more proof, 4 ways to sell, including the thing you sell. We're moving through it, right? And so finally, we have the last version of proof, which is the crescendo of this whole thing, which is like, we're here. So the best version of proof. So for those of you who got the book launch bundle, the proof checklist, live, right? Happening in front of you. Demonstrate, like, as much as you can demonstrate proof rather than use recorded proof, far more compelling. And so me having the Guinness World Record people there, it's like, they're there, right? I'm here right now. And so that will always be more compelling, okay? So I go through this, explain why this event also is more proof of a different money model, and this is also a physical product, which I explain, and then we explain the math behind it, which is just more proof that this works, right? And then there's obviously some, you know, I'm very clear throughout this whole presentation, like I'm not saying this is going to happen for you. We spent money, we made more, et cetera, et cetera. And this is literally just proof. This is all this is, just proof. Great, we satisfied all these different conditions, which means every single box in the audience. I'm trying to check, because the thing is you're not going to win the audience. Of course, the big ideas matter, totally. But to maximize conversion, it's like, it's all in the edges. It's like, how do I hit that 1%, that 1%, that 1%, that 1%, that 1%, that 1%. So it's like, it's each of these little lines. It's like, I gotta make sure I cover SaaS. I gotta make sure I cover e-commerce. I gotta make sure I cover brick and mortar. I gotta make sure I cover B2C. I gotta make sure I cover B2B. I gotta hit each of these lines, and not only doing it once, but doing it in different angles in different ways, right? I might hit B2B, but they're brick and mortar and identify as brick and mortar. They might have both those things that I already hit, but it doesn't resonate with them, which is why I talk about the sales motion, right? I might talk about how I run ads. Any of these are examples, and I try to hit all as many flavors as I can so they can say, oh, that's just like me. That's all we're trying to do here is just say, that's just like me. So as long as the business sells something, there's a money model that scales it, right? That's how powerful it is, right? So then we keep going. I want to transfer this. This is the transition to the pitch, by the way, guys. So if you're like, how do I transition to the pitch? You make the transition here. You say, great, we've covered a lot. Here's what we covered so far. You do recaps. So the way I like doing recaps is just screenshot the slide and then explain what you would say on top of the slide of how you describe the slide, which is all I'm doing here. These are all slides that I'd said earlier, right? And it's just the heavy hitters. The reason I think this is super important is that when you hit these right near the end, people realize how much you've covered, right? Like if you think about all the stuff that even just this speed roll, right? It's like cash flow is the only thing, like, and this is also, by the way, a recap of your argument. Hear me out here. This is a recap of your argument. So just listen to the words, okay? Cash flow is the only thing a business needs to survive. If each customer pays for 2 more, you remove cash flow as a limiter. A $100 million money model is a sequence of offers to get each customer to pay for 2 more. The 4 money model mechanisms are these 4 things. The only 4 ways to sell stuff are these 4 ways. And a $100 million money model works for all of them. And $100 million money models make this launch profitable using the concepts before it was released. Can you see? Now this is yes question. This is called a yes stack. So can you see how doing this can unlock the growth you want? Can you see how it can help you grow on your own? So each of these like can use is going to hit a different type of person. Now some people might say yes to all of them. Some people say yes to some of them, right? Can you see how this is the big promise right at the beginning? Get more customers, spend more money, less time, and can unlock the growth you want. Can you see how having a better money model helps you grow on your own without taking on bad debts, lame partners, or trouble investors, right? Can you see how it can help you weather bad storms, bad hires, and bad economies? Can you see how mastering money models helps you change your entire business life without changing your product or delivery? So it's like you're getting all this good stuff, preventing all this bad stuff without doing a lot of change to your business, right? That is a great yes stack. Can you see finally why this is a skill worth having, right? And so the idea is we want to get them to say yes. So they're like, yes, this is for me, right? And so here's the question. This is the big transition to the pitch. Who wants to master it? Great. And then here we do a little bit of a reveal, okay? So people don't come out to my headquarters because they think I understand their business. They come out because I understand the models of making money. And so this is where we transition. This is still all part of the transition to the pitch. This is the best of what I know after many, many years, what took me to doing on the floor to cool stuff like this. And then I introduce with great pride $100 million money models, okay? So here we have the opportunity. So then it's like you have the 15 money model mechanisms. You can combine them and use them. And this is all about mastering monetization, right? And so what does cash flow get you? Benefit, 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 so that you can get big promise, all right? It's the most how-to system I've ever made. And guess what? We have proof. By judging the world record, we just maybe unofficially broke at the beginning, possibly ever made. And so, boom, right now we go right into the bonuses. So bonus stack, I'm just going to explain one of them because it's the exact same layout every time. So first thing you're going to get, second thing you get, third thing you get, I just say this is the thing you're going to get. And then we have the benefit of the thing. You convert strangers into first-time buyers with the thing. You can get trash people to pick up your trash the first time with thing. Doesn't matter. Big promise with thing. Great. So here I'm getting people to opt in. So if you're someone who X, if you're somebody who Y, or you're Z, or you're W, then this is for you, right? So each of these, I go big promise, and then if you are A, B, C, or D, this is for you. Now, I use proof that I used earlier, so I don't have to retell the story. Remember, because this is compressing time. So remember I scaled these 6 locations. Here's how I did it, because I take that one big outcome and I say, it's just from this one tiny thing. But guess what? You get so much more, right? And so here, this is the stack, all right? So we have the tiny little thing, and we say, here's what this thing is, here's why it matters, here's why doing them right is important versus doing them wrong, and here's what you get inside. So then you explain what's inside, which for me was 2 sentences. Like, think about this, 2 sentences per mechanism. So I have a whole chapter. I have to do this in 2 sentences. 2 sentences, 2 sentences, 2 sentences, 2 sentences, sometimes 3. 2 sentences, 5 mechanism. Boom, you see all 5. So I had to rock this whole thing in 10 sentences. Think how nuts that is. 5 full chapters of the book in 10 sentences. Word compression. And even though I give you a lot, only one of these is all you need to change your business quickly. Great. Then a little bit of a wordy, change that, combine endless ways to make whatever you want more attractive, benefit. So then we transition. We've got our what this is, why it matters, why it's important to do it right. Then what's inside. We give the examples of what's inside. Then we go future pace. So imagine what it would be like to live in or experience the benefit, right? That's the picture of this part, right? When done right, you're just 1 tweak away from feeding your business for life, right? Think about your current leads. So this is, again, you can even look at the visuals. It's all about imagining what it would be like to have this result. And could you imagine how much your business would change, right? And then it's like, hey, but this basically cost me a lot. So this wasn't cheap for me, right? And every one of those is like, here's the big promise. But this cost me a lot in terms of time, money, and pain. But I'm gonna help you avoid all that time, money, and pain. So you get all the good stuff, less bad stuff, thing, right? So it came at a high cost of X, Y, Z. But you have to go through years of trying to figure out all these mechanisms, which of course I want to save you that hassle. So it helps you skip all of that. And so the bottom line, this is the TLDR. We summarize it. And because of the pain and effort that we went into it, and this is clear, I'll just be clear with you guys. You cannot claim prices or values unless you can actually justify them. I did sell this for $15,999. And so as a result, I can claim, otherwise you are not compliant as an advertiser. So they're like, it's worth $1 zillion. One, people don't believe it as much, so you want to use prices you actually sell stuff for. That's what makes it compelling. And so I sold one of these for 16 grand. I'm giving you all 5 for at least what I would consider to be a $16,000 value. So then that's the first thing. Now, each time we're repeating the same process. What is this? Why does it matter? Why it's important to do it right? What's inside? Picture this, what's happening? And then, but it cost me a lot of money and time and pain. It's time, money, and pain that you're not going to have, which is why it's worth this, which is why it's the second thing you're going to get. Here's the third, right? You just do this over and same, right at the front. Again, same thing. Big, bold promise. And then if you're somebody who's not getting this or this or this or this is for you. Big promise, and then we're in. Why it matters, what it is, why doing it right is important, what you're going to get inside, and then we go through it. 2 sentences each. Can you imagine? More good stuff, less bad stuff. I'll show you the best way. I sold my thing for this much money. It made this. Here's more proof. It gives you all 4. This one I took out the how much the pain and suffering that I went through for this one. partially because some of the bonuses I had to really crush the time down, and of all the places that I was willing to cut, because this was obviously not monetized, I cut some beef out of this stack. So anyways, we go through it. I'll go through the rest of these. It's the exact same layout over and over and over and over again, all the way through. We get the full stack. And the whole thing sets up all the stories I told, so I don't have to retell them. So if you can cross-pollinate proof, it saves you time. It still creates the same effect, right? And so, retelling the proof here. And we had the 4 offer mechanisms, which then obviously maps to the offer, which has all 4 of these things. Congratulations, great. We have all 4. We have all 4 anchors. And then finally, we have the whole thing put together, right? Okay, so now I've got this big thing. All I'm doing here is decreasing how much work it is, right? So do this, you become a good thing. You can easily make any product better and change. And this is notice what's purple here. Change nothing about what you deliver, right? So I just went through all this stuff. People are gonna be overwhelmed. So I'm like, hey, you don't have to change anything about what you deliver. Just how you present it, how they buy, and how much they spend, right? And then again, you only have to do one of these things to change your life or change your business. You don't need anything to do else. So I just explained a lot of stuff, so I'm just bringing it back in, right? Making it more digestible before we move on. So you'll notice this kind of accordion theme of like, build it up, and then, hey, don't worry, we just got to do this thing. Hey, this is amazing. Hey, don't worry, it's just this thing, right? And that's kind of the cycle, the rhythm of this, all right? So this is a real emotive example. Many people think that they need to change their business, when in reality, they just need to change their money model. So the money model is significantly less painful than changing your entire business. So now this is actually a pretty straight down the middle fastball price drop. So 4-year degree, $100,000 for me. We do $1 million days, which by the way, the AI, so go.acq.com, every single $1 million day of consulting I have, all of it is pre-programmed in the AI. So if you are basically any business that I just named in this webinar, I have consulted with it, and you can get basically all the benefits of that consulting for free. Not for free. $3,000. It feels like free to me. That's why I'm saying it. And then it's $300 a month after that, which mostly is like covering the cost of the CPUs and whatever. But yeah, if that's ever the concern, then you need to come to the AI workshop. I'll show you how to use this thing right. It's what our team uses too. And so this is one of the ways that we scale our own practice and have improved gross margins, is because we can scale that thinking power. Anyways, so this is a price anchor of $1 million, boom. And then that's why it'd be reasonable at 69. Before I tell you the price, let me ask you a question. And so these are all hypotheticals of what it would be worth to you. Get the number in your head. If you knew it would happen, which of course you can't, I have to be compliant, wouldn't it be worth that much hypothetically? This is me giving more proof. It'd be worth it at any price for all these people. And so this is just if all this did was, right? We're just going through here, wouldn't it be nice? Like this is very, very formulaic. So this part I'm not gonna spend too much time on. Like it's a traditional price drop. So we're gonna go all the way down. Now I wanted to make sure that I still a little bit of gotcha from last time, right? And so I still put this line in, right? I want to be affordable for everyone, but still an investment. And so this was a little bit of the seeding, a little bit of the leading along, because I wanted to have a little bit of that emotive moment, right? So I'm not going to ask for this, and we do the final stack. And the key point, by the way, for everybody, is that you have to restack every time. You don't want to do it. You feel like it's weird. You got to do it. It does not have the psychological effect unless you recreate the contrast and then re-bring it back down. It does not work. If you try to create a bonus stack and then you do not restate every item of the bonus stack, it is not as effective. You have to recreate this contrast. So believe it or not, the way this works behaviorally is that the reason a price drop and a bonus stack is so painful, right, to go through as both a presenter sometimes and a consumer, is that it's actually a punishing experience, but it is reinforcing, different. So like if you look at our retention curve on a stack, it's flat. Like everyone wants to see the train crash. Everyone wants to see the payoff. And so the payoff is this massive moment of anticipation of what's the price going to be, right? And so every time you add it, every time you say, and there's also this, and there's also this, and so like if you think about the roller coaster, we're adding, and we're adding up the price, and it's getting more and more painful. Then we're dropping, and we're releasing the tension. So basically, all of this is building up deprivation, right? All of this is painful, and we build up this pressure, and then we relieve the pressure, which is why it's such an effective technique. You build it up over and over and over, then you cut it down over and over and over, and then you present. All right, and so then I do my final little jig. And I also did three payments of, because I didn't think anyone would guess I do 3 payments of 0. So I made that. I thought it'd be cute. So $0, right? So obviously everybody here who was there in that moment, that was a fun moment, right? I always think that was I thought it was for me it was a lot of fun. So 100% free. Everyone gets excited. My way of saying thank you. And this again, I partially do the first half because I want more people to have the book. I also do genuinely get what it's like to be broke. And I relied on all the free shit. So I want to have the best stuff. And I also know that I consumed free stuff, and then later when I started making money, happily paid everybody that I consumed anything from. Because I was like, dude, like you made money, man. Like I owe you this, right? Like I don't even need anything else. I'm paying you at a delay, right? And I prefer to operate that way. And so that's why I make the stuff that I do. So yeah, that's why that is that way. Yeah, unfortunately, AI is super expensive, not just to develop, but also like to use. Like we have a very expensive AI bill just from CPU usage. We've had over 600,000 jobs done by the AI in 8 weeks. Think about that, 600,000. That is a lot. So yeah, back to this. So now we restack. So I took everyone on this ride. We stacked it all the way down. It's free, and now I'm coming back up, right? So we're coming back up. But wait, there's more. You're also going to get the audiobook. On top of that, you're also going to get the free gift, which is something else, another secret book, which is the Lost Chapters. Oh my God, this is great too, right? So now you have the second or third free thing that you're getting, right? And then the fourth free thing, here we go. There's one more, which was you don't want to just have all the information. You need to have the tools, right? And so the tools is what the schools was for. All right, so let me tell you I'd say the biggest copy mistake that I made in the whole presentation. So obviously one of our stipulations was that when the right time we could do 3 things, add everything in money models to make it work, which we have. The features launched literally the end of those features, not end of, like a big bulk of those got launched yesterday, which I'm super excited about. Number 2 is giving enough free time to get going. I purposely wanted to also extend it to make sure that all the features that were going to be associated, people could have during their free period, which is why we did it that way. So then it's like instead of 14 days free, and then I stacked up free. So if you're ever going to present a number, you pretty much always want to stack it. So if you have 10 days free, then it's like it's not 1 day or 2 day or 5 days, it's 10, right? You don't just say it's 10. It's not nearly as fun, right? It just makes it way more emotive. So this was the big copy mistake that I made. So school has been, we basically have a pro tier that's $99 a month, right? And for the launch, a month before, we started the hobby tier, which was $9. We got the kinks out of it so that we could do the launch and have the $9 option. So, but the way I presented it here, it looks like, so here it's like we drove the price down from $99 to only $9. And what I'm saying here is that like we created a $9 option. And if I had just said it that way, it would have been less confusing. So that was, you have 1,700 slides, you do the best you can. But yeah, if I could like, I was like, he tried to dupe. I was like, dude, it's $9. Like, no, I'm not, like, for the love of God, no. But yeah, we created 2 tiers. There's a hobby tier and there's a pro tier. The hobby tier has everything the pro tier has, except for the things that you would need as a pro. Like you can have multiple admins and like API integrations and tiers. These are all things that only somebody who would probably be more advanced would use, whereas somebody who's a beginner might not need that stuff, which is why it's $9. So anyways, all that to say, I want to be real with you. If I could remake the slide, I would have just said, for anyone who stays after 90 days, you have the option of either doing $99 a month, which is all we've had for however long, but now for the first time ever, you can stay for only $9, right? That's all I would have had to say, and it would have been super clean. I just, you win some, you lose some. Okay, so, and it was only for that book launch for the 90 days, which is true, which crushed. And that's the best head start I can give you. Okay, so mind you, we've had this big moment, we've had this big release, right? Then, so I've got all this free stuff. So notice, here's a key point. Remember the web got riled up about that? Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I had 1,700 slides. I made 100 call to actions. We reviewed 400 pages of copy. It's that the $9 was truly $9. It's just that some people thought they deserved the $99 option for $9 rather than just the $9 option, even though they had no use for the 99 tools anyways. What are you gonna do? You try your best. Yeah, literally two slides in terms of copy. The end result is the same. You pay $9. It's just how I framed it would have just been clearer. And that's just on me. Thanks, Cameron. Okay, so we give all this free stuff away, right? And here's where I had to paint this thing like with surgical precision. So now it was like, okay, here's all the stuff. You can't have it yet. So I've got everyone riled up. We have this moment, but there's no CTA. All right? So whenever you give a CTA, assume that people are leaving, right? And so, by the way, go.acq.com. So when you give a CTA, people are going to leave, right? And so I don't want people to leave before the true donation offer, right? Now, if somebody's, a freebie seeker, that's fine, they can go grab it. But I didn't want anyone to leave. I want to keep the momentum, right? So the transition is from here to the beginning of the pitch. I practiced a lot of times. I'll just say that. So at the beginning, I said, so the reason I do the sorting at the beginning is so that I could say, hey, and this is like all of this is super important. I labeled everybody at the beginning, and I said the up-and-coming entrepreneurs. So most people don't want to identify that. Now, if you do identify as that, then that's why I give you all this free stuff, and the next thing wouldn't be for you anyways. Do you feel like I kept my promise? Now, the point here is that I'm trying to close the loop on these people. Like, hey, you're up and coming. You're a freebie seeker. You don't have money. Totally fine. Boom. Did I keep my promise? Yes. So I want people to say yes, and we did get that in the chat. So this was the transition. So right at this point, did I keep my promise? Is when I said, hey guys, you mind taking down the screens for a second? And I did this. I rehearsed the exact same thing, which was I took hat off. I took the paper out of pocket, unfolded it, and then I read my letter. After reading the letter, I said, great, to all the people who are harder off, do you feel like you're not going to get upset with me if I try and get the ballers to buy some books? Everyone said, no, we're not going to be upset. And so this was partially the keeping my promise / putting anyone who's going to be a whiny little ninny in a box. And so I could actually talk to the legitimate business owners, which unfortunately in the internet is a minority, but they are 100% of my real audience, right? Y'all are my real audience. And so I had to put that whole process in 6 minutes, say my letter, and so then as soon as the hat comes back on, screens come up, and that's when the momentum changes. And we say, now, business owners, players, money makers, if you're in the game, I made this for you. And so it's a clear call out, and I want it to be an aspirational title that my true avatar is like, that's me. I'm a baller. I'm a moneymaker. I'm in the game. And if you're like, that's me, then I'm like, I made this for you. So everything I talked about earlier, that's not for you. That is for an up-and-comer. That's for a beginner. This is for you. So I'm going to ask you, and then it goes straight to CTA, right? So I confront the price right off the bat. So it's reverse. So everything else up to this point was ladder all the way up with bonuses, price anchor, price drop all the way down, price drop down to free, not just free, but even more than free, and even more than free, and even more than free. Isn't that amazing? Did I keep my promise? Yes. Heartfelt moment. Pattern interrupt. Anchor that everybody over there was taken care of. Great. Now the pitch begins. And so this is where the true pitch started. Bruno, any code for the ACQ AI? Like just go to go.acq.com and just check out there. There's no codes, but it's only 36 hours or 35 hours, whatever it is from now. So then I say, I'm going to ask you to donate 200 bucks. And obviously my whole mission has been make real business education accessible for everyone. So it's on brand for me. It's aligned for me to get other people to donate books. Books are is a core pillar of my brand. And so getting the books in more hands made sense on a lot of levels, right? One is it's on brand for me. Number two is people distribute more books, brings more people to my world. And so that's why we did it that way. And I wanted to release all these playbooks that I had written because I've written them and I was like, I have to give these. These have come out of my soul. I must give them into the world. And so right after this, it's boom, we confront price. So it's like, get price out of the way. Like some people are already like, they're hot and bothered from the first sale. They're ready to buy. Get price out of the way. And so then I say, hey, I'm going to spend the next few minutes explaining why it's going to be the best decision of your business, that you make this year easily. And so I show how long I've been doing this, which is true. This whole thing has been, 4-year plus project. I did all this stuff way ahead of time, right? And so then we're like, okay, how do we get these books in the hands of every person in America? So this is all big reason why. This is all big mission focus, right? And so this gets into, partially some of what we talked about today, which is like, how do I do something crazy? Weeks after the last launch, I started training an AI, which, you guys already know the second half of this. I started training an AI on all the stuff we're doing, right? And started documenting all these playbooks. And people didn't know why I did it, right? It was from that launch, so 1,000+ businesses, 18 months, these are all the industries. Also, I do these industries right at the front. Notice the similar pattern to last time. So at the beginning, I said, I know money models work because they work in all these industries. And I know that because I also use them in all the businesses I invest in. So this is the beginning of another webinar. So I say, hey, I worked with 1,000 businesses, and here's a visual pie chart of all these industries. It's the same process, but I had to have that trend. That's why the 6 minutes between the end of the last one and the beginning of this one was so crucial in terms of making this whole thing work. Now, one of the things I did here that, again, I don't think I saw many people do, I've never really seen anybody do, is I did a scarcity stack right at the beginning. So we wanted to get this data. So this is me re-explaining why we did this, right? These are the 4 constraints most business owners struggle from. So this is me recreating, like just like with the 4 elements of attraction offers, upsells, downsells, continuity. I have 4 things that comprise the system. Now, I had 16, I think it's 16, no, however many books it is, right? The playbooks. I originally was like, wait, I can't make all these bonuses, too many, right? And so one of the things that pains me about this, and this will probably pain you about anything you pitch, is that you will not be able to give as much detail to all the things that you spent all these hours on. These playbooks, when I explain them, they got 3 bullets. That's it. Like weeks and weeks and weeks of work per book, just 3 bullets, right? And then I'm on to the next one, because as much as my emotions want to explain how amazing what's inside is, people have very short attention spans, and so you have to chunk up. I couldn't even talk about them as their real own thing. They were just, each of them was really a larger component of the leads constraint, the sales constraint, the delivery constraint, and then the profit constraint. So we have the systems that correspond to those problems. Okay, so this is all creating problem solution for the beginning of the pitch. It works for all these industries. Most people struggle with these problems. Here are the solutions that we came up with after doing all this work, right? This is proof. This is all proof, right? And then I take out the thing, too valuable. I knock it on here. Not some log you never use. This had to be a boom. I slap it on the counter. Physical implementation playbook. Hold in reference, and this is now where I'm beginning to interact with all of the props, right? You can display them on your shelf, and then the whole point here is I'm trying to get people to imagine what it would be like to use these things and have them in their surroundings, right? And so I'm setting all this up without even, remember, I'm not explaining what's inside of it yet. I'm just saying what problems it solves. That's it, right? Each one of these has these different playbooks. Here's a big visual that looks sexy. This is an anchor around the value. So if we're thinking through this, it's like, here's what it is. Here's how you can imagine yourself using it. Here's a visual. And here's the anchor of why it's valuable. And so if people are paying $35,000 for a single playbook's worth of implementation, right, it's $420,000. Now, people haven't come 12 times yet. But for one of the days that someone might come here, we might get portions of one or two of these playbooks, right? And so it is a legitimate value. And so today, you can get them in your hands, right, when you help me put 200 books in the hands of other people for $6 grand, right? And you want to get them now. Now, this is the beginning of the scarcity stack. So mind you, I basically just said this is what it is. I didn't explain anything that's inside of it. I just said these are the 4 problems it solves. Go grab them. That's it. Which, by the way, you can go to go.acq.com if you want to get the AI. All right? And so you're going to want to get them now. And this is when I explain the scarcity component. So this is a stack for scarcity. I've literally never seen anyone do this. All right? People just provide scarcity, but they do not stack it. All right? So the good news is, and I've got bad news. The good news, so all I'm trying to say, lots of people will want this thing, right? It's going to be really affordable for a ton of you guys, and then give you some logistics around actually checking out. This is how you check out, which, by the way, it sounds ridiculous that you'd have to do that. You totally have to do that, which is why I showed you the page and said go.acq.com, right? And then justify that in terms of what that looks like a week. It's 2 books a week. It's very easy for people to get their minds around. I also have people who can help you check out. If you have any number, this is literally all checkout logistics, right? But on top of that, when you support other entrepreneurs, you won't have to wait until Tuesday. So now I get to take that free thing and say, by the way, you get the free stuff sooner. So I get a little bit of a benefit. Now, if you have the option, I can't overemphasize how important latency or speed is to getting someone to buy. If you had the option of giving a really big thing at a delay or a very tiny thing, the tiny thing immediately almost always will drive more conversions. I promise you, just try it. This is where speed, I'm telling you, from the bottom of my heart, from everything that I've sold in my life, speed crushes. So if you can give, which by the way, you get instant access to the AI at go.acq.com. You can literally start using it in seconds. All right, so FYI. But if you can pull that forward, it all of a sudden, and this delay, I think it's kind of clever. This delay was manufactured. So I said, you don't get it Tuesday. I could have given it whenever, right? But you had to wait till Tuesday, and then we had to wait till Tuesday because I needed to finish the promotion for the main thing. If you didn't buy the main thing, then you can get the free thing, right? But if you do buy it, I can pull it forward. So I create a delay and then cut the line by telling you to buy, right? Pretty clever. I think it's clever. So that was the good news. Lots of people want it. I made it really easy. Lots of people I made it super affordable. There's lots of demand. Now, here's the bad news. This is the truth. Only 25,000 of them assembled, which I did. And I said it's likely that we'll sell that many. I didn't know. It's likely. So here's the perspective, right? So there are, and this is where I said how many people were there alive. And we had proof because I had a judge shout out that we had 130,000 people live. That wasn't me. That was verified, right? And I also plan on emailing my 1.4 million person email list. They're like, wait a second. There's 131,000 live. You got 1.4 million on the list. It's that's a lot of people. I also have 21,000 affiliates. That's 21,000 audiences. So that expands even larger, right? So look, this is a stack here, right? 25,000 out of 3 million. Now, I have to put context around this. If I have 25,000, we have to have a less than 1% conversion on this whole audience. Now, 1% would be a low cold conversion, right? 2% would be kind of average. Now, the last launch, we had 12.2%, right, of people buy. Now, mind you, that was a different price point, right? But it was still very good, right? And I think I said that, right? So it's people will already think of the skepticism. You don't need to, state the facts and tell the truth. You will be more compelling if you just tell everyone what they're already thinking, right? And so it would be reasonable for us to be at 3 to 5%, given the fact that we're a warm audience, et cetera, right? And so if you're wondering why I did it, it's for 2 reasons. 1, scarcity changes behavior, of course. And number two is I just didn't order enough, a little bit of humor. And so this was the first stack. And so then it's like, great, CTA. Now, the reason this is so important is that the point of the webinar and the point in a sales process, and really take this to heart, is that you want to ask for the sale as many times as humanly possible, with the caveat that you want to ask as many people as many times as humanly possible. And the only way to do that is not piss everyone off. And so it's a balancing act between I want to ask as many times as possible to as many people as possible, and the only way to get them to stay is to not be a dick, right? And so this is why having good reasons to ask again and doing it on a cadence allows you to make more sales. So the salesperson that asks someone to buy more times will close more deals, period. Having a high frustration tolerance for someone saying no and asking again is a key skill in sales. And if you can find a way, this is why one-on-one sales, if you can just keep asking, oftentimes you will get more. I have, from all the trainings and all the stuff I've done with salespeople, the more I do it, the more I think what they say back in terms of the overcomes matters significantly less than just asking again. And so people do get fatigued from saying no, especially when it's later in the day, et cetera. And so we want to, if we believe in our products, then we want to maximize the likelihood that people make decisions that help themselves. And if we have more information than they do, then as long as you believe in it because you know more about the context than they do, then like you should maximize the likelihood that they make a good decision. That's fundamentally persuasion, right? Which is the difference between that and manipulation, which is the same idea, just hurts them. All right, so we did the scarcity stack, which is thing one, right? Then we have first reason to CTA. All right, so we've made it available, CTA number one. CTA number two, we have a reason for you to buy now, scarcity. Okay, so I had to tease for the ultra business owners because some of these people are already going out to the checkout. Some of you guys are here, already went to the checkout. The checkout on the thank you page had scale advisory. This was also something that has never been done before. All right, so in terms of things that were net new, I would say the 4-box for selling that I mentioned in the first webinar, net new, never seen anyone do it. Number two, net new, was the scarcity stack. I have yet to see anyone else do it. If someone has, amazing. I just haven't seen anyone stack scarcity. The third thing that was net new is I have not seen people go for a 6K price point on a webinar of this size, not even close. That was a huge gutsy move because there's so many people that I spoke with that basically advised me not to do that and was like, no one gets above 3,500, like you're gonna have a credit card. And so what I did was I did ask the AI to do a deep research project. And basically $6,000 was the front end. And then the immediate upsell was $3,000 for 6 months, $3,000 a month for 6 months, which is scale advisory. And that means it was $9,000 in total. So when you look at SMBs, the average credit card approval rate, or the number of business owners who have credit of $10,000 or more was 70%. And so with that number, I figured that they might have some amount that's on the card. But if I had 6 and then 3, I would still be within that $10,000 limit. And I had a bunch of math behind it. But basically, that was what I believe to be the sweet spot on pricing, that for the right avatar, for a business owner who's a legit business owner, a $6,000 price point is an impulse purchase that will not break the bank. And I felt that way because for us, when we sell tickets to the workshops that we hold here at headquarters, people basically, we have 15, 20-minute sales calls. It's not a very long sale. It's like, do you want to come out? Yes. Do you want to help with some of our team who literally does what you need help with? Yes. Great. We've done it 100 times. Like, we can help you debottleneck your issue. It's like really straightforward, and we have a zillion 5-star reviews. That's the offer. And so I knew that the right avatar, which is our core avatar, at small business owner between 500 and 50 million, it's not a big purchase. For a consumer, it would be, but I clearly was like, I got your free stuff already. You're taken care of. This is for the ballers. And the super ballers who can make a $24,000 purchase without a phone sale was going to select for the highest quality people who had already received a ton of value from me, and also my fear was that if I had no friction into a community, it would create a poor value community. The opposite has actually happened, which is really cool. So scale advisory, because there's no phone sale, it only was people who like truly just opted in and were like, I'm in. And for all my scale advisory people, if y'all are here, let people know in the chat, like, if I'm full of it here. I think it's sick. I think the community is awesome. It's one of those positive communities. Like, everyone is a homie. Like, it's just great vibes. And everyone just gives their coolest tactics and like what's working right now, and it's sick. And I think that can only, anyways, it was magical. So that worked well. And so that's the fourth thing that I've never seen anyone do. A high ticket OTO, an $18,000 one-click upsell with like an 11-minute video. Never seen that happen. We converted, I think, 5-ish% of buyers into that. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20-ish million on the back end, just from adding that extra button. Obviously, there's the button. There's obviously work involved. And my team is still involved in the delivery there, which is cool. So it was for the first time ever. Again, the truth is nice when it's true. So. And I was only doing it for the launch, which is, again, true. And so 6 months, we're still going. If you donate more books, you get more stuff, right? So then we go through, this is just FAQs, which are always going to come up. All the internationals, we got 50-plus countries, which was like a Herculean effort by the team. And so fundamentally, what do we got on time? Okay, good. So I will, okay. So, all right. I'm going to speed run because I don't want you guys to, Ginny Green, All good, but now you got to use it. There you go. Great. Okay, so give you the tools. So now we go into each of the playbooks, right? So I made the scarcity stack, we made the transition, and now it's like, I'm gonna do an overview of the 4 things inside. Let's pull up the first one, big summary, and then we go bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3 of frameworks. Each of them is paired with a visual inside of the book. Then we say, great, like think about how fast this is, right? I go, boom, intro to the second. Bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3, third. Bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3, fourth. Bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3, next. Right? And then we have to go proof of the overarching thing of the whole system working. So proof around ads. Here's me spending a lot of money on ads. Here's the result. And then it goes, this doesn't just work for me. It works for everybody else too. So then I give examples on that. And this was the structure all the way through. We go, big thing, bullet 1, 2, 3, big thing, bullet 1, 2, 3 with a visual each, big thing, bullet 1, 2, 3. Here's proof for me. Here's proof for other people. That was the structure all the way through. All right? And so, of course, we're stacking each of the systems all together as we go through each of these. Now, obviously, what makes this compelling is the truth. We have big companies. We have big outcomes. We have big results. We are a big business. We are good at business. And so me showing this, like the most compelling thing in the world is proof. So like, just prove it. I had a guy who came out for the affiliate one day and he said, how do I become a top 10 marketer in the world? I was like, be a top 10 marketer in the world. He wanted to be basically a top 10 marketing influencer. I was like, just be a top 10 marketer and you will have the influence, right? Elon doesn't need to be a business influencer. He is a businessman, right? I just happen to be motivated by education, which is cool. Hopefully it's cool. So we keep going through, more proof, more proof, more proof. And so each of these, same thing. We go big bullet, and then we go, here's, again, all of these are a fraction of what's inside. Bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3 with a visual. Next one, bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3 with a visual. And then proof that it works. And then these are portfolio companies. Here's another one. Here's clients. And this is literally the system. That's all it is. It's literally the same framework all the way through. This is not creative. This is just all about collecting the proof you need. All right, this is all this is. Just proof, all the way through. Okay, so at the end of the system, we make the next CTA. So I've made CTA number 1 when I make it available. CTA number 2, now of course the CTA is along the bottom, but we need to have good reasons to like really nudge, right? So nudge 1, it's available. Go to go.acq.com. Now we have a scarcity stack. You should really go because it might run out. Go.acq.com. Now at this point, you have the full stack explained to you. Now you know what you're going to get, which is why you should go to go.acq.com, right? Which is why I push it here. And then now we just like at each of these points, you'll notice I do more questions or answers around payment logistics. So more like, hey, just a reminder, you can affirm. If you have issues checking out, go here. You can call these people. By the way, all this applies for the current sale. For those of you guys who are going to go to go.acq.com right now for the AI, you should go do it. You have 36 hours. We're going to continue to make this thing fucking exceptional because it is a huge investment for us, and this is like where we're taking the business. So if you trust that my products are good, it's a one-time payment of $3,000. Then after that, if it cannot cover the $300 a month, you need to learn how to use it, which is why I'm doing the AI workshop. Everybody who got the donated books, you get it for free as a reminder. Okay, so then we made it easy. And so then we have to transition, right? So you're about to begin your quest. So one of the things I like doing when I have these is big narrative arcs. So it's like, I'm assuming that they have it. Like you're about to begin your quest, right? But what happens when you hit a roadblock? So we like this big visual, right? To your specific situation, because what we're doing along this arc is explaining what their common objections are likely to be, right? So most people get stuck, they give up, but not you, because I couldn't help with everybody, but we had an idea that changed everything. So I told you earlier. Now this was the rubber band snap, right? Now each of these obviously had big sales snaps, but this was the dump, right? And so I told you we had all these businesses, they pay $35,000 each, so $35 million in consulting, great. But I did leave something out. So this is the reveal. I also met with 226 businesses that paid $135,000 each. So the video that I played with Tyler, he did this, he did L3, and then he also used the AI, and he was like, this thing's insane. And I was like, yeah, I know, I spent 2 years training it. Like, that was the point. And so we went through that, right, for one-on-one for me to break down their business, and then big visual proof of the amount of work. So there's the actual notes. Those are the actual notes. I actually have more than one binder, but it's better for the visual. And so if I space all these out, so again, notice that there's always, if I'm going to, I could have said, I did this for 2 years and left it there. But instead, it's like, hey, if I spaced out working with all those businesses with no weekends, 226, it'd be one business every other day, end to end, for 2 years. And so again, whenever you're going to pronounce a number, you always want to drag it, right? If you want to make it compelling. If you want it to be small, just say it. If you want to emphasize it, then add visuals and contextual clues to show relative contrast to something else. Like, I could have just said 226. But I said, well, if I were to space out 226 over 2 years. That would be one business every other day, end to end, with no weekends for 2 years. It's still 226, right? But how you say it, and then of course, obviously, I have the visuals of every single one of the times that I had to prove that I did the work. It's like, show your work. I'm telling you guys, if you build products, if you build services, if you make investments, show your work. Like, if you don't have results yet, that's okay. Show your work. Now, today, I could show you results from the AI, right? I couldn't before, but I can now. So, show your work. Great. So, truly back, like, literally, I'm saying this because this is how it works. Like, this is how you do it, all right? And again, it's like, what's the reason why? I did this unscalable work because people always ask me, can you help me grow my business? And I would like to help, but I cannot help everyone statistically, right? I still have my main job, and Layla likes to see me sometimes. And so we documented 226 plus businesses, huge amount of work, can't scale for a particular reason, to build something that can, right? And so for every business we have intake call, stats, industry, again, extensive notes, constraint analysis, right? Personally deliver the recommendations, which we did. And I mean I, document the exact problems and the solutions, what actions and in what order, right? Organize follow-up to give them their next steps, right? And this is to all the people who, like, this is me obviously telling the people, like, don't worry, everything is whitewashed, which by the way it is. Obviously, we're not going to share your data. But I personally, and then I restate this, right? So another stack. We did all of this work, right? In preparation for this moment. Like, and I could have just said, here it is. But instead, it's like violent, obscene, ruthless, wise, ACQ AI, the fifth bonus, custom trained on everything. And no, not one of these bullshit, like I took some documents and I took Alex's YouTube and I uploaded it to a GPT. You have tons of guys who are in Scale Advisory and they're like, yeah, I used one of those until I used this and this thing's way better. It's like, yeah, it's obviously because I have a shitload of data in 2 years I've trained it on. Like, think about this conceptually. I record for like 6 hours a week right now. 6 hours is not what gets out. Productive time is probably a third. What would you say, Daniel? A third? Third of that time is productive? Yeah? So 1 out of 3 minutes actually gets, so it's like 2 hours of true content gets put out per week. Now, obviously, it's clipped and repurposed and all that stuff, but 2 hours a week. Well, and I work a lot. So what happens the other 80 hours a week? Well, all of that work is what it's trained on. And so, like, the internet actually has a very small percentage of what I do and what it's trained on. But people just don't think. And that's why it's so much better. Like, we're trying to win. Like, we want to build an AI advisory practice that's truly a new version of an old thing. We believe the most valuable thing that someone could have, besides me literally giving someone money, would be to give them the next best step for their business. And the only way you can know that is with a ton of context. And the only way you get a ton of context is doing a ton of work. And we do love doing work here. So once we introduce it, it's like, yes, end-to-end analysis of all the businesses, every constraint, every solution, every implementation step. And then I have to, so just so you guys know, I had to include all the stuff inside of the AI because obviously, but that's easy. That's super easy to train on, right? We put the RAG database together, and it's very easy to pull it in there. The main stuff was all the consulting work, right? But we put the playbooks in there just so that it can help with any of the implementation of any of the playbooks. And so again, I talked about this with Amjad. Clear inputs, clear outputs, processing, and reinforcement training. So maybe that you saw that clip earlier, this chart, maybe you saw it at the launch, like it might make more sense to you, but this is how you train AI. And so then, why do I say this big thing? Because everybody thinks that it's not going to work for their particular industry. And so I just took all the different types of businesses that I consulted with, not all of them, because I only put 60 of them, right? First, that was 60, right? We did 4 times more than that when I named every single one of these types of businesses. Second, I helped a business not just exactly like yours, not once, but probably multiple times, right? Because believe it or not, there's not, like, if you're in home services, I've helped every version of that industry I could possibly imagine. It's not like it's just one plumber, many plumbers. Not one pest control, many pest controls. Not one roofer, many roofers. Not one solar guy, many solar guys. Not one restoration guy, many restoration guys. Not one GC, many GCs, right? Like, it doesn't, like, if you're an internet marketer, like, forget about it. Like, obviously, like, if you're a marketing agency, what are we talking about, right? Like, if you do anything where you sell stuff, like, via a channel of content, ads, or outreach, or affiliates, like, we have probably worked business that's like yours or multiple times. And so I show all this stuff, right? If I hadn't done all that work, at the worst case, because I have to show all sides, right? One is I did a lot of them. 2, it's not just like yours, but it's also bigger and smaller. And 3rd is in the weird scenario where you think that somehow you are truly a special snowflake. So what? Isn't it great to learn from other businesses that are outside of your industry? And so it's like each of these I have to paint the corners of all the scenarios that someone might bring up of why they shouldn't buy, right? And so the end result of all of that work is that you can get answers in minutes that would cost you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to directly get from advisory work, or just years of trial and error. So it's like such the best next step, the most valuable thing you could have, right? And so obviously you would finally get the answer to that question. And so I like the analogy I told you earlier, like you start this quest. So the playbooks are the map, ACQI is the vehicle, right? So this then creates the third thing, which is like, I'm going to need a guide. And so this is something that I have yet to see, by the way, which is the next unique thing that I did. So in terms of the rubber band snaps. So we had the first moment where we reveal it and say, go buy it. The next is this, the scarcity stack. The third moment was after the full complete set is produced. And this is the fourth. This is the fourth major CTA where people actually can buy stuff, right? So now we begin the price anchor process. So there's a second price drop. I have yet to see a second price drop ever where it's like the price has already been stated, but I had to build it back up because I couldn't have gone price drop, build back up, it's all free, here's even more stuff, and then said, okay, $100,000, then price drop, it wouldn't work. So I had to go 6, build all the value, justify, proof. Now I can snap it back down again. So $135,000 is my anchor, right? The most valuable thing I can give you. And then I had proof because the people behind me had done it. So it's not just like Alex made some number up. Many people had done it. They had paid that. They had gone through it, right? Here's the proof that it was good. All these people said it was a great experience. And these are obviously they're experienced business owners. People don't drop $135,000 without being legit. So numbers on a page got hard and overwhelming. Why don't we just ask the source? Everybody there says 10 out of 10 is an awesome experience. I couldn't control that one. So like that's like even today when I said, hey, if you use the AI, let people know how it was. I don't know what people are going to say. I can't control. But I am confident that the product is good. And so I'm okay with people saying, like, use it, and same with, L3. Like, if you've done a day with me, I feel very confident that you had a good experience. And so I'm willing to risk people saying, thumbs down. But everybody, thankfully said it was a great experience. So, but that stakes around the proof is what makes it more believable, right? Whatever people are saying in the chat, I haven't had time to read it because I'm trying to do this stuff. If it's great and people say it's great, then like, awesome. And if somebody's not doing well with it, they need to get trained better on it, And so why would I give such an unstoppable machine away? I'm not giving it away. So this is the catch, right? So this begins the stack all the way down. Big mission anchor, $135,000 price. And then all of this is price justification. And then boom, we start working our way down. So would this amazing thing be worth all of this money? Hold that number in your head if you knew it was going to happen. Literally the same anchor language. Wouldn't it be worth at least as much? Yes. So wouldn't it be a great deal at $2,500? Yes. Great, that's why it's a bargain at 1,000. And so this time what was unique was rather than doing the anchor off of price, I did the anchor off of number of books. And so I had a little bit of variability in how I did the price drop by relating it to books rather than money. So that was how I made it a little bit different from the other time. But we still go all the way through the stack, boop, 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 all the way down. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going. A really great deal. And then wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And the real cost, boom, free with the original donation, right? And so now people had truly confronted the price. Like for those of you who read the Money Models book, the chapter on price anchors or anchor upsells, anchors only work when you have people confront them. If someone does not confront it, if they don't really confront the price and really consider it and think like, is it worth it? Does this make sense? Like, how would I pay for it? You have to get those juices flowing. If you just try to like skip past the anchor, you didn't anchor, you wasted time. And so you really have to own the anchor. You have to anchor it. That's what you have to do, right? That's why they call it that. And so once you anchor it, then the drop will be meaningful and you will increase conversions. Because fundamentally you're saying this is really painful and you relieve the pain by lowering the price. And if people were willing to, like already considering the purchase at $6,000, some people are now like, shoot, I'm gonna have to pay more for this. And then it's like, oh, it's also just the same price, right? And then boom, right? So yes, also included when you donate 200 bucks, you get all that stuff my way saying, thank you, guys are awesome. And so then we restack, notice, restack every time. And I said like, the lead system, which includes this, and this, free. Sales system, this, and this, free. Delivery, this, and this, free. You have to do it. So sometimes you're like, I can't believe he's doing it again. Guess what happens after every time I did it? More sales. Every time. We have the tickers, more sales every time. Are you guys like this is like the behind the scenes? This is like how it works. When you help me put 200 books in the hands of entrepreneurs who need them, but I've got one more free gift. Okay, so then we have the workshop. Now this is like why do I have this? The big issue that someone's gonna have is implementation. So I want to make sure that people pick. This one is all around finding the right constraint. So actually, anybody who's at the implementation workshop, let me know if you dug it. I think the implementation workshop was fucking awesome. The Hormozi 6 was something that like came out of me making that. Yeah, thanks, Philip. Like it was, yeah, I appreciate that. Like I worked super hard on that. And so we made the implementation workshop. It's funny for you guys who now have gone through it, right? Like you can see I presented it, but now you're so happy that you went through it because you're like, man, that was really good. And so like, you have to believe in the products that you sell. Like I believe that I've done a lot of advisory work and consulting. Like I've seen the patterns that deconstrain businesses, and I would like to share that with people. And so I can feel confident saying like, I will lead you through this implementation, figure out the playbook and the play that you need to figure out to deconstrain your business, which is exactly what anybody who was there would say. Figure out exactly where it is, that's the issue, and then that's where you focus on, right? So this explains the workshop. And so again, we have our little analogy. So the one was the vehicle, the workshops are your guide, right? So we have our first is you, when it's the map, the vehicle, the guide. So we have this kind of little analogy that we're building along the way. Okay. Then we create more proof around workshops generically, which we're very good at them. So lots of 5-star reviews, more proof. So we go through again, restack, add the virtual workshops in. Great. Now, here's another point where this isn't what I would consider a hard snap because it was just a single bonus. So we probably got some sales here. I made one price justification by comparing Chipotle to Affirm, $8.33 a day. Okay, fine. And so I basically feign at this point that the presentation is close to over. Right? So some of you guys might have a question or two. I said, now before I bring up our 5 mystery headliners, right, which mind you, I have not mentioned the mystery headliners until this point. We are an hour and 30 minutes into the presentation, right? Just to give you context, maybe an hour and 40 in the presentation at this point. Now, many people heard about the mystery headliners, but there was no point in bringing them up earlier because if people are there, they're there. And I have other reasons for people to stay that are more compelling and simpler. So just because I have the reason to use doesn't mean I need to use it. But now I've used up most of those reasons. And so now I need to open up another loop to keep people in for the next chunk. So we have 2 more big CTA moments before we bring the headliners on. All right. So if we're counting CTA moments, so you guys are digging this. Like this would took me, a long time to put together. So we had our initial, go buy it. We had our scarcity stack, go buy it. We had our complete program, all the stuff put together, go buy it. We had our ACQ AI, big price anchor, price all the way down, drop, go buy it. Then we have our virtual workshop. I wouldn't consider that one a true CTA. It's here, but it's not like when the CTAs are there, the little sales tingles are there. It's not there for that one. Now it is obviously an exceptional workshop, but from a sellability perspective, some of these other things have more sexiness, even if some others are more valuable. Like if you go through the ACQ AI workshop that we'll go through, if you literally learn the skills by the end of the workshop, like my God, that alone is worth it. The fact that you're getting an AI for free, basically on top of that, amazing, right? I said it so you get the AI and then you get the workshop free, whichever way you prefer in your mind that makes you feel better is fine with me. But fundamentally, that's the sexiness factor. There's 2 more moments that are going to come up, and this is the next one. So I said, let me address some of the questions that I expect people to have. So I said I had 4 things that I said that were net new. This is number 5. So there have been plenty of people who have done objection handling sequences. It's very common, if you're going to do it sooner or later, might as well do it now. Let me tell you the tale of 2 guys, Rick and John, and Rick didn't take action, John did, John became really successful. Like you go through these obstacles. The thing is that I advertise to a very savvy audience. So my audience, consumes my stuff, right? And so y'all know what's up. And so me trying to do something as obvious as just like, let me just objection handle, I felt like I could do better. And so what I did was I said, what if I could create another presentation, but actually have it be valuable, but have it with a central narrative arc, but have it explain the stories and the moments that changed my life, but have them mirror the moments that other people who are listening are going through. And so that's what we did, right? And so this is right before I got into it. It's like, hey, let me be direct about something. Like if you've gotten free value from my stuff, my nuggets, my YouTube, my podcast, my scaling roadmaps, my audiobooks, my keynotes, my newsletter, this is a $29 workshop that came for free with the book, right? If this has been valuable, the newsletter, the free courses, free events like this, which is virtually free with the $29 book purchase, then please donate some books. And so if that's you, go grab the AI. Like it will help you out. Like it is a very good product. I'm very proud of it, and it will continue to only get better. As we continue to train it and make it a core element of the business. But again, this cohort, 36 hours, and then I don't know when the next one's going to be. Okay, so which again, you can do at go.acq.com. Now, if you haven't gotten value, obviously please don't, and I mean that genuinely today too. All right, so while you guys check out, I want to, now notice the language there, by the way, guys. While you check out, so if you ever want to kind of extend something and also tell the audience what to do, then you assume the close. You're like, hey, while you guys check out, we're going to do this other stuff. So if you're thinking about it, go check out, and while you're doing that, let's cover that. So I said I want to share with you something cool. So this is the introduction to the next portion of the whole presentation. So this is I call it the objection arc. All right, and so over the last year, I've been studying risk and reward decision-making frameworks, which is true, of the wealthiest people in history, which has been fun. So people like Rockefeller, Getty, Bezos, Musk. And so over the last year, I read books from 3 out of the 4 of them, which was a lot of fun. So anyways, what amazed me was a common theme, right? Which says they had to make huge bets. And the reason that this objection arc came up was because I actually told this story at a workshop here in person, which by the way is one of the best test centers that I have. I told this story because it was just top of mind for me. and it framed my presentation. And then when the team said, hey, do you guys want to do more advisory services or whatever, a higher percentage of people ended up doing it. And the only change was that I had mentioned this set of stories. And so I thought about that. I was like, there's something about this series of stories that encourages people to take risks, right? Of course, all bets, all upside have risk, right? And so I should just be upfront about that. Everything is risk. And these guys won really big, and it's because they took really big risk. And not only did they take risk once or twice, they had to take it multiple times going all in their careers. And so then it's like, okay, I could talk about them, or I could talk about how those frameworks have served me in my life and how the big risks that I've taken have paid off. And that became the objection arc, okay? So I give an example with Elon, and then I read the intro to the book Offers, which again, like the reason this stuff works is because it's true. Like I believe this. It was the intro of the book for Offers because it is one of my favorite passages from Bezos about risk and reward. And so this then enters, then this is again a call out. Some of you guys are stuck trying to figure out your next move, scaling like crazy, or trying to stop the bleeding. So somebody's gonna fit in all three of those buckets. I have to pull everyone back in and say, hey, I know you're in one of these three places. This applies to you. And so I've noticed this for myself in business as well. And so at every sticking point that I reach, there's usually some big bet that I have to make to the next level. So many of you guys have said you want to be AI enhanced, AI first as a business. Well, one of the first skills you need to have is learning how to use it and create a data layer within your business so you can actually implement it, right? And so that would be a bet. And so you go do that. So every sticking point I reach, there's some big bet I have to make to get to the next level. Great. So some of you guys have to make the bet. And I like to remind myself when I don't feel courageous, which is true. So then they're all high stakes decisions, which create, and decisions are the highest leverage actions we can take, which is a reminder to the audience. And then we go into it. So I have this beautiful visual framework that tells people where they are, and then we go through the decisions. And so each of these has a clear story format. So if you aren't familiar with the story format, the way it works is you've got a hero or a protagonist who wants something bad happens or gets in his way or her way, a guide or insight occurs, the insight from that guide changes the behavior of the protagonist, and then the story resolves with either internal transformation, external transformation, or both. That is how a story works. And so each of these stories literally follow, like I do not try to get fancy with this. So I'm quitting my job to become an entrepreneur. So I'm on my phone, close friend. So I want this thing, right? I'm struggling. I'm presenting all of the problems that someone might present, that someone who's a potential buyer might say, what if it doesn't work? I'm doing okay. Why change anything? What if I run out of money? I've already got a lot going on. Things are super busy right now. And like a good friend, he listened, the guide, and waited for me to list all my reasons, and he said something I'll never forget. So then he gives me the insight. Dude, the only thing that's guaranteed is if you risk nothing, you get nothing. For those of you guys who are on the fence about the AI, if you risk nothing, you get nothing, right? And so it sounds like you've given all the reasons not to do it, are the reasons that you should do it, right? I don't have time right now. Great reason to use AI, because probably it'll help you save time, right? I can't afford it. It's like, well, what if you had more leverage on the work that you're doing? Would that be able to help you afford it? Like, not a promise, of course, your results will vary. But I'm saying, like, again, we can still use the same meta framework here. So me, the character, don't know. And also by doing it this way, side note for everybody, by doing it this way, you look less arrogant. So if I come in and say, hey guys, you need to do this, like you need to make decisions, you get to take action, the reasons you're not doing it, the reasons you should do it, it sounds, you can do it, it's just, it has a possibility of sounding heavier handed. If you are in the same bucket or boat as the customer or prospect, you're taking them along with you on this journey. And so they see you as a mirror or a proxy that they are experiencing the overcomes and the subsequent positive results from taking the desired action. So what I'm doing here is modeling desired behavior in mini micro stories, hoping that one of the stories or one of the obstacles I present with is relatable to them, and they say, oh, that's like me, and that good thing happened to him, and maybe it'll happen for me. That's the idea. Now, of course, not a promise, your results will vary. There's the rest of the disclaimer, I can't remember what it is, but the rest of the disclaimer applies here. Okay, and so good thing happens, best decision I ever made, which then brings you decision number 2, right? Learning the gym business. So I find this gym expert, I drive across the country, I didn't know what to expect. He says, you need to pay all this money, I freeze. I want this thing, big obstacle. Then what happens? I present my obstacle, he is the guru, he is literally the guru in the story, right? And he says, he gives me the framework, I apply the framework, and then guess what happens? Good thing happens. One of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Decision, next decision, right? And so I just literally work all the way through this, but the thing is it's one sequential story. And I think this is what I haven't seen anyone do that I thought was really clever, that no one really cared about, but I think it's pretty cool. So rather than just do like time, money, spouse, stall, whatever, like the standard closes that you would normally do, and layer 2 or 3 on top of each of them. I thought it was way cooler to give the actual stories of my life, the decisions that I did make, where I did have to go risk and did have to go all in, and how they paid off. And I thought that would be a way cooler way to do this. And so at the end of this whole thing, I said there was, oh gosh, this one's going to take forever to get through. I'll click as I talk. So at the end of this narrative arc, this was probably a 30-ish minute segment. We then have the next rubber band snap, right? So we have the rubber band snap at the end of the AI. The ACQ implementation workshop is soft, not a huge snap. Of course, we're going to get sales, but like it wasn't a huge dump. Then we have the objection arc. The sales start picking up with each of these objections as they're hitting. Then, of course, we finish this up, and then we restack and reclose. We close out this loop. And right before we do that, we add in the last urgency bonus. So narrative arc, we're getting people to close throughout. Then we introduce urgency. So it's live only. So for you guys, it's 36 hours or 34 hours or how many hours are left to get in on the next round of AI. After that, it's just you guys and just us, and we're gonna make this thing great. Then from there, we go through the urgency stack. And so then we go through the exact same setup, but this is now, I mean, think about how this is today. Like the AI is trained on the 400 plus pages of email copy and all the VSLs and the timelines for the launch, the affiliate black book. Like it's trained on all of that, right? $106 million launch. All of that's in there. And so when I did the launch, it hadn't been proven yet, but it is now, which is cool. So anyways, we have the big urgency thing, and then you stack it, and then you drop it all the way down, right? And so the core part with the launch black book is that launching, which is what today is all about, is everything that I've done. I've launched everything in my life, right? Like I launched gyms, which is where I started. I launched Prestige Labs. I launched school. I launched the books. Launching is how I built what I have. And so this launch you're watching right now, right? I invested a lot of money in ads. So if you guys are good, you want to drop the screens for a second? My team. So we can get full facials. That sounds horrible. Get your mind out of the gutter. Savante, come on. Come on, Amir. Are we good? No? Are these down? We're good? Okay. So I said that we would cover 3 things today. I said that number 1, I would cover how we advertised this launch, and I would show you all the numbers. Do you guys feel like I kept that promise? Take off the filter. Do you guys feel like I kept that promise? Yes? Okay, good. Number 2, I focused on how we built the AI. So, you know, one of the sexiest products that I've ever, you know, had the blessing, I guess, to be a part of. 2 years of work, and you guys saw it in the chat, you know, all the people who have used it and really like it. I showed you the metrics. People who buy it keep using it, and we're making it better every day. And that's what I want to do. I want to build that thing to be exceptional, and it'll be a core part of the advisory practice. So I explained everything about how reinforcement learning works. We explained how I gave you the MJAD story. Explained the pieces that we had to figure out, which is the 4. How is the most valuable thing? How to create tremendous context around the entrepreneur, the business, and the conditions in which they're working. How do we translate that data into knowledge? And then how do we translate that knowledge into actionable insights that create outcomes in the real world? So I walked through all of those in terms of how we built everything. And then you got to see Tyler's real life example of like, I spent $135,000 and now I feel like I've gotten the same tactics from this thing and I know exactly what I need to do. Like that's the point. And then the third part is how you pitch it, right? How you sell it. And so I gave the voiceover for this whole presentation. After this, after this transitions to the final stack, it just goes into the headliners. Each of the headliners is a proof example that I explained earlier. And so fundamentally, there's a lot of details that go into making something like this happen. This is not something that's a 2-week, decision. You saw the page of incentives and collateral that I/the team had to put together to make this possible. 2 years of my life at minimum, and if you include from when I started writing the first book, 4+ years. And so, as much as it was a world record breaking, highest grossing webinar of all time and all that, it was so much work. And there's also so much at stake when you have a reputation. And so I have a reputation for having good products. And so the workshops have to be exceptional. The books have to be exceptional. The playbooks have to be exceptional. The AI has to be exceptional. And you create that viral loop, that snowball effect of like, if people buy the first and second book and it's good, they buy the third book. If they buy the third book, they read the lost chapters and they think the lost chapters good. They buy those books, they read all the playbooks and they think the playbooks are good. With the context from the playbooks, they understand how to use the AI better, right? And then the AI helps them because they just continue to experience the benefit of the products, and the more we can help people do that, the more I feel like we accomplish what we set out to do. So anyways, I appreciate you all. This was my way of saying thank you for buying a $29 book. So hopefully you enjoyed the entire free workshop that came for pre-ordering the book as a VIP. For those of you who do want to grab the AI because you didn't grab it for whatever reason at the launch, we open the doors up for 36 more hours or whatever it is till midnight tomorrow for you to grab it. I just knew that if I explained a bunch of how we worked on it, we'd just get a zillion increase. So if you want it, go grab it. If you don't, it's all good. We'll open it until tomorrow night, and then we'll close it back down again. Beyond that, like, I'm so grateful for you, like, unbelievably grateful. I hope you guys like use all of this to make your customers' lives better, make your lives better. This has taken me a long time to learn, and it's taken me a lot of scars to learn it. And I hope that it helps you guys out, because you guys are the shit. You guys are awesome. I would never have imagined making YouTube videos on a webcam in a closet, that I would have a full live stream studio set up. Yeah. Thank you, Excellence, with John Smith. This is $29. Yes, this was this was free with a $29 pre-order. So I appreciate you guys for choosing to buy earlier and helping me liquidate the ad spend that I had to promote this book launch. And that does mean something to me, and I always want to make sure that any money you give me, I give you more back. And if we always operate that way, then you will always want to do business with me. And that is fundamentally a principle that I have. Like, you will, if you always operate with abundant exchange, which is that both parties are better off after the transaction, you will have no shortage of people who want to do business with you. So you don't always get it perfect. I told you about the $9 thing. I probably could have clearly said we have we have a 99 and now we have a 99 rather than the 99 is now 9. It was just a goof. But yeah, we try the best we can, and we'll screw up, and then we'll keep going. You know, appreciate you guys. Rock and roll, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. And everybody else, stay awesome. I don't know. Do I do one of these? Happy $100 million launch workshop. Hope this was a great free ticket for the $29. All right, go do hump day. Do it right. All right, see you later.